Breaking Bad follows the descent of Walter White and Jesse Pinkman into the criminal world. The show itself was groundbreaking and received multiple Guinness World Records for being the highest rated TV show of all time. Today I'll be revisiting this iconic series by bringing you 50 facts you didn't know about Breaking Bad. 1. During a fight scene between Jesse and Tuco, Aaron Paul ended up getting knocked unconscious and actually got a concussion for which he needed medical attention. 2. Aaron Paul has never taken any acting classes. During a Reddit Ask Me Anything, he said, "I always just thought, hey, pretend like you're being someone else and that's all there is to it." 3. Due to the success of the show, some drug dealers have actually started adding blue dye to their crystal meth in an effort to brand their product. 4. Additionally, the blue crystal meth seen in the show is just rock candy. 5. Bryan Cranston knows the exact process for cooking meth because DEA chemists taught him how to cook it for some of the scenes. 6. Vince Gilligan produced The X-Files, which had episodes featuring Bryan Cranston, Dean Norris, and Aaron Paul. 7. John Cusack and Matthew Broderick both turned down the role of Walter White. Then Vince Gilligan showed AMC execs Bryan Cranston in an episode of X-Files, and they were sold. 8. Mythbusters has shown that no amount of hydrofluoric acid could have ever eaten through that tub. 9. Aaron Paul spent hours with addicts and ex-addicts when researching the role of Jesse. He said it enabled him to see a very different side of people. 10. There was a Spanish remake of the show called Metastasis. Walter White became Walter Blanco, Jesse was turned into Jose, and Hank turned into Henry. Needless to say, the show was terribly reviewed as they managed to cram all 62 episodes into only a time frame of 3 months. 11. On the last day of shooting, Bryan Cranston stripped down and walked around the set nude. Aaron Paul said about the situation, "Anytime he can have the opportunity to show me his ass, he does." 12. Walter White's underwear sold for almost $10,000. Also, a copy of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass went for $65,500, and Hector Salamanca's bell made $19,750. 13. Jane's death was foreshadowed a lot in the script.
You were supposed to wake up.
Ever?
Oh, so sweet. I threw up in my mouth a little.
14. Dean Norris, or Hank, was offered a role on a comedy sitcom during the filming of the first half of Breaking Bad Season 5. Norris suggested to creator Vince Gilligan that perhaps killing Hank within the first 8 episodes would be a great ending, but Gilligan politely denied his request. 15. The plane crash at the end of Season 2 is very much like the 1986 Cerritos mid-air collision. In fact, the name of the junior air traffic controller who was guiding the plane prior to the crash was also named Walter White. 16. In the final episode, the camera focuses on a New Hampshire license plate which is branded with the state's motto, "Live free or die." Not only is this the name of the Season 5 premiere, it also speaks to both the fate of Jesse and Walt. 17. This scene is very reminiscent of an iconic moment in Quentin Tarantino's film Reservoir Dogs. Walt and Jesse's positions are the same as the characters in the 1992 movie, and the names bear some striking similarities. Steve Buscemi's name is Mr. Pink in Reservoir Dogs, and Harvey Keitel's is Mr. White. Sound familiar? 18. Color symbolism was present throughout all of Breaking Bad. Walter White's clothes got darker throughout the seasons, just like his character did. In the beginning of the series, he wore lighter clothes, such as whites and yellows, but towards the end, his attire consisted of black and blues, symbolizing the monster he had become. 19. Breaking Bad ended up being 62 episodes for a reason. On the periodic table, the 62nd element is samarium, which is essential in helping to treat lung cancer. 20. For the Season 4 finale Face-Off, Vince Gilligan recruited the prosthetic effects team behind The Walking Dead to make a model of Gustavo Fring's mutilated head. The model was then digitally blended with Giancarlo's real head, a process which took months. 21. Walter White's house in Breaking Bad has been the real-life home of a woman called Fran since 1973. She admits that a lot of artistic license was taken with the property's interior by the production designer, and that Gilligan originally wanted to cover the pool up. And she doesn't mind the hundreds of cars that slow down in front of her house every month. 22. The Sage Neuroscience Center in Albuquerque is using Breaking Bad to help get New Mexicans off drugs. The state has the highest rate of addiction in the US. By sharing their stories of addiction, entrants have the chance to win one of 2 Breaking Addiction scholarships, which entitle them to 12 weeks of free rehabilitation treatment worth thousands of dollars. 23. The cast and crew ended up shooting the Los Pollos Hermanos scenes in a real restaurant called Twister's. The show's art department painted the fictional logo inside the building. Gilligan said, "I believe it stayed up there for months on end. For all I know, it might still be there to this day. It is indeed still in place, probably because Twister's has become quite the tourist attraction." 24. Costume designer Kathleen DeToro admitted that the original reason Cranston started wearing the Heisenberg hat is because he needed to shade his bald head from the sun. 25. Raymond Cruz, or Tuco, was meant to be the main antagonist all the way through Season 2. He met his end in Season 1 because he became a regular on The Closer and could no longer appear in Breaking Bad. When Gilligan realized there was only one way Tuco's story could go, he remembered Mr. Roberts, the Henry Fonda movie in which Jack Lemmon's character is always blowing up things on this old Navy ship with mercury fulminate. Gilligan explains in Breaking Bad, the official book, that he was relieved to find out that mercury fulminate kinda sorta looked like crystal meth, and with that, one of the formative Heisenberg moments was created. 26. Last year, Vince Gilligan was contacted by the parents of 16-year-old Kevin Cordasco, who is terminally ill with cancer and one of the biggest fans of Breaking Bad. There was something about the Walter White character, explained his father, the way he took control of his illness and his life that really resonated with Kevin. Gilligan and the cast visited Kevin at his home and in the hospital, and during one of these visits he was asked by Gilligan what he felt was missing from the show. He said, "You know what? I want to know more about Gretchen and Elliot. I want to know more about Walt's backstory with them. I want to know what happened." This was how Walter's former Grey Matter business partners ended up with a pivotal role in the final series. Gilligan even offered to tell him how the show would end. Kevin declined, saying he'd rather find out along with the rest of the world. Kevin Cordasco died soon after, and the 9th episode of Season 5 is dedicated to him. 27. Breaking Bad was originally supposed to be shot in Riverside, California, but the location was ultimately changed to Albuquerque, New Mexico. That change of setting has certainly been a boom for the New Mexico tourism industry. Local businesses have taken advantage of the hit show's worldwide popularity and cashed in by producing all manner of Breaking Bad related products. These include blue meth candy, blue meth donuts, locally brewed Heisenberg dark beer, and even custom-made Heisenberg Pez dispensers. 28. Methylamine, the chemical that led to the train robbery, isn't really that hard to make. In fact, some chemists have suggested that it could be synthesized in a kitchen sink without too much difficulty, but that wouldn't make for good TV. 29. Jonathan Banks had a much smaller part, but was given a bigger role in Mike when another actor was unavailable to work. 30. Vince Gilligan didn't want to continue with Breaking Bad when he found out that the show Weeds had a similar premise. He had said later if he had known earlier about the show, he wouldn't have even created Breaking Bad. 31. While filming a scene featuring Wendy the prostitute, filming was interrupted by a person who thought she was a real hooker and tried to pick her up. 32. When Dean Norris auditioned for Breaking Bad, he thought it was a comedy. This led to him portraying a deeper version of the character than the writers had intended. 33. A total of 269 people have died throughout Breaking Bad, including the plane crash. 34. After watching Season 5, Episode 14, Ozymandias, George R. R. Martin called Walter White a bigger monster than anyone in Game of Thrones and vowed to do something about that in his next book. 35. Nearly 2 decades before landing the role of Walter White, Bryan Cranston was in the Power Rangers. 36. The first, 4th, 10th, and 13th episodes of Season 2 all have black and white teaser intros, and when you combine the episode titles, you get 737 Down over Albuquerque, foreshadowing the plane crash at the end of the season. 37. In a scene that Vince Gilligan called a 1 in a million shot, Bryan Cranston managed to throw the pizza onto the roof in the very first take. 38. While filming the episode during which Walt kills Mike, the entire crew wore black armbands to mark Jonathan Banks' final episode. 39. Walt Jr. actor RJ Mitte does have cerebral palsy, but not as severely as his character and can walk without crutches. In fact, he needed to learn how to walk with crutches for the show. 40. Marius Stan, Walt's boss at the car wash, has a PhD in chemistry. He decided to go into acting in his 40s, with Breaking Bad being his first role. 41. Walt Jr. is the only major character that Jesse never meets. 42. As Walt drives back to New Mexico in the final episode, he listens to a song called El Paso by Marty Robbins. It tells of a guy who returns to the town where he is a wanted man to find the woman he loves, Felina, which is where the episode gets its name. 43. As well as being an anagram of finale, some have pointed out that Felina can be split up into Fe, Li, and Na, the chemical symbols for iron, lithium, and sodium, or in other words, blood, meth, and tears. 44. Aaron Paul and Bryan Cranston got Breaking Bad tattoos to commemorate their time on the show. Paul's tattoo says "No Half Measures," which is the name of an episode from season 3 and a reference to a moment between Walt and Mike. And as you can see, Cranston got a very tiny tattoo of the show's logo. 45. Unlike most dramas, which tend to decrease in popularity as they go on, Breaking Bad only got bigger. Through most of its run, the show was bringing in a steady viewership of 1.5 million, which is still pretty impressive, but as it entered its last season, things began to pick up. The first half of season 5 saw audience numbers jump by 1 million, and once it entered its final run, the series was easily breaking 5 million, with the finale bringing in a whopping 10.28 million. 46. The Breaking Bad casting team actively tried to insert comedy people into the show. Talking about it, Gilligan said, "It wasn't like we went looking to hire comedians, it's just that I've got a theory that if you can do comedy, first of all, you have to be able to act, and there are plenty of stand-up comedians who are not actors, but if you are an actor at heart and you're also a comedian, you can do drama." Bryan Cranston, Bill Burr, Lavelle Crawford, and Bob Odenkirk are some of the notable comedians cast in Breaking Bad. 47. Jonathan Banks was so good during his audition that the casting note read, "Does it get any better? So good." 48. Each episode, except the pilot, had 8 days of shooting. The pilot had 14 and eventually was extended to 15 because Vince Gilligan got the flu. 49. Saul Goodman is named after the phrase, "It's all good, man." 50. The very last scene shot for Breaking Bad was a flashback in the van during the opening of Ozymandias. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. Please leave a like, that would be awesome, and let me know in the comments what TV show you would like me to do next.